everybody. Welcome to our live for the week. Today, I have an absolutely amazing doctor who has been in the EntreMD Business School for a while, and I'm so excited to interview her. She is an entrepreneur, has done a TED Talk, which I'm excited to hear about. She's been on numerous TV shows, and she even hosts a weekly show. She is absolutely crushing it on TikTok, and us Gen Zs, specifically me, are very much proud of her. So let us welcome the absolutely amazing, wonderful, and most certainly beautiful Dr. Toomer.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm almost blushing.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and we'll start with an introduction so you can
Okay,
introduce yourself to everybody.
all right. I am Dr. Catherine Toomer. I'm a family medicine and community health physician, and I'm the founder of Total Weight Care Institute. And Total Weight Care Institute has several prongs, um, mainly through acceptance, advocacy, and access to primarily difficult to get, or for people who've lost access to metabolic weight care management. And so I teach other physicians how to help with compassionate and complete weight care. I have my own group and one-on-one patients that I work with, and in the process of writing a manual, actually, so that others can get more access to my information and make it easier for them.
That's absolutely amazing. Okay, so we're gonna start with this. So what did your life and business look like, right,
Mhm.
before you joined the EntreMD Business School?
Oh, I was spinning. I was just simply spinning. I would have one idea after the other. I didn't know which one should stick or which one would stick. I, knew I was very confident. I had a lot of confidence, but very little direction. And so everything I thought of, I thought, I can do that. I can do that. And but when you start doing too much, nothing gets done well.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I just didn't know which direction to go, and I just needed focus. And so when I started with Entre and D with Dr. Una specifically, I mean, I immediately got focused. My business grew actually by 600% within a few
Wow,
months.
that's
I
good.
just needed to hone in on something,
On
and
something.
when I
Yeah,
did, it took off.
that's amazing.
What that also allowed me to do was to gain more confidence, understand what worked and what didn't work. And then, unfortunately, then COVID hit. And, but well, unfortunately, I had a brick and mortar um, office, and which closed. It was mandated by our state that all offices had to close. And so I closed mine. Fortunately, though, the months leading up to that, I had been working with Dr. Una digitizing my process because she said, if you are the only person who can do what you do within your business, then it's not going to be much of a business.
Yeah.
And it has to be put in a way so that other people can use what it is that you do. And so I started digitizing everything. So when COVID hit, I pivoted to virtual within a week. And then my business really took off because suddenly I was no longer just local, I was global. And
Mhm.
that really made a difference. And it really expanded my reach. It expanded my um, information. It expanded my skills. It expanded so much that I've just been growing ever since.
That's good. That's so good. Okay, so you briefly talked about it, but you shared that within your first few months of being in EBS, your revenue grew by 600%, which is
Mhm.
a lot. So
Mhm.
apart from, the confidence boost and the digitalizing of your business, what like shifted for you that made that leap possible? What were the things that you moved around?
Well, the best thing that it did is that I no longer had to supplement my income. I was working at an urgent care center to supplement my office because I didn't want to take out business loans. And so with that growth, I could stop with my external um, work. And then what that also did was give me time then to focus fully on my business. And when I was able to do that and I wasn't distracted by anything else, and then I really started to think about verticals and thinking about things that I could add that were of value to my patients and to my business. And so that is really the biggest part of what happened, is that I could really focus on value and improving everything that I was doing while adding other things.
That's good. Okay. And so the questionnaire that I put out when, I was, having things for interview, I asked people, okay, what's your favorite piece of merch, right? And you
Mhm.
said that it was the I eat frogs all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, which, by the way, if you haven't gotten your merch, you can go to auntriemd.com/merch to get yours today. And I will put up a QR code in a few minutes. But in AntriMD, right, we talk a lot about
Mhm.
eating frogs and tackling
Yeah.
the hard stuff first. So, what is like one of the frogs that you used to avoid, which you now tackle like a complete pro?
Well, hmm, that's a hard one because I've been in EntreMD so long that I just see frogs as gourmet meals. I don't even think of them as eating frogs anymore. Let me think. So I would say that my biggest, I would say, was that I was afraid of success. I was afraid
Mhm.
that if I did things too well and I did too much, that it was going to take time away from what I was most important to me, and that was um, my family. And so my biggest frog was delegation, was
Oh,
hiring people because I'm a loner. I like to be alone. I like to work alone. I like to pivot really fast and furiously without anybody saying, "Wait, wait, wait, slow down, slow down, slow down. I can't keep up." And when you're working with other people, that's very difficult to do.
hmm,
The other is when you work with other people, suddenly you have to be really organized
yeah.
and you have to be really clear in what your direction is. And you have to be really clear with the steps of those directions.
Mhm.
And suddenly I was like, wow, I have to, this is a frog I have to eat. And so I did. I delegated. I finally hired someone and I started took baby steps. And now I'm at the point now where it's like, as soon as I have a problem, okay, who can I hire to fix it?
Yeah.
Who's my next person? Who do I need next? What can I do next? Every single thing that happens, okay, let me throw this into my SOPs. And I need to make sure that I have it in a way that people can follow and understand. And it's just my whole mindset has really changed around information, processes, systems, and who I should interact with around those systems.
That's good. That's amazing. Okay, so during the business makeover mastermind, right? I
Mhm.
saw I saw you wearing the sweatshirt. You were wearing the red one. You looked absolutely amazing in it, by the way.
Thank you.
So, what does the message of "I eat frogs all day, every day, and twice on Sunday"? What does that mean to you personally as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, interestingly, it doesn't mean as much to me as it did before, simply because over the years I've absorbed so much that it's almost natural. It feels
Mhm.
very natural to hit challenges. It feels very natural to. So for me now, what it is mostly mindset things, not letting little doubts creep in, not worrying about something and what it's going to take away from something else that's important. Time is probably one of the most important things for me. How I use my time, where my time goes, I value it greatly for very good reasons. But and so for me, eating frogs is removing guilt of how I use my time and removing any doubts about how I use my time and removing any negativity really around how I use my time. And so, and just understanding that how I use my time is being used in a way that it needs to be used in order to go to the
Mhm.
next step, and just trust that, have faith in that, and understand that there's really nothing else that that by allowing that doubt or that negativity to creep in, it actually ruins what that next bit of time is and
Yeah,
how I use it. And so that is my biggest frog. It really is just not allowing, just learning how not to let negativity around how I use my time affect my time.
yeah. That's amazing. I'm gonna have to pick up on that myself. Okay, so how has like part of eating frogs is you doing the hard stuff first, right? So
Mhm,
how has you doing the hard stuff first consistently changed how you show up in your life and in your business?
mhm. Well, actually, that was a lesson I learned growing up in Kenya. We use it academically is a very rigorous academic environment. It was a sink or swim type of thing. We were ranked from an early age. I was highly competitive, so I always wanted to be in the top one, at least in the top three,
Mhm,
if nothing else. And so, but I always aimed for number one.
mhm,
And but one of the tricks I learned was in order to get through the large amount of work that I had to do, was do the one I disliked the most first and the one that was the hardest second.
mhm,
And then everything else seemed easier. And I've applied that really. My mother's also a teacher, and she said, you know, you can apply that anywhere, right? So when you walk into a room and you need to clean your room, start with the part that you hate to do
mhm.
most, and
Yeah.
that is hardest to do so that all the rest seems easy and enjoyable. And so
Mhm,
that's essentially what I do with business. I do the hardest things first, the things I avoid the most, and then everything else seems simple. And what's nice though, when you keep doing that, the hard things become easier and the things that you didn't like become more enjoyable. So then it's
mhm.
like, oh wow, look at that. So
Yeah.
then it's like all fun and it's all enjoyable and it's all becomes easy after a while. And and so even when you hit difficulty, it doesn't seem like a difficulty. It looks like an opportunity to learn something new or to gain a
Mhm.
new appreciation for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you just look at things differently after that.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, after we, like, in our house read the book, the Eat That Frog book by Brian Tracy, my mom started
Mhm.
having us implement that,
Yeah.
and for me, it would be, like, inside of schoolwork. So it's like, whatever is the hardest subject first, you do that
Mhm.
first, and then you get it out of the way.
Mhm.
And then with the way, like, me and my siblings like to run, it's not you do the subject for the day.
Mhm.
We'll do the subject and we'll, like, wipe out the subject completely, like,
Yes.
go all the way to the end of the year and be done with it before we
Mhm.
start moving on to everything else. So then my sister would tell me like, "Oh, I just finished 6th grade." I'm like, "What do you mean you finished 6th grade?" She's like, "Well, I did, like, math and English and, like, science first, and then I did, like, Bible and everything else afterwards." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So
Yes.
the concept is working, the concept is there, and so, we've
Yes.
started, it's early, it's always good to start early, so we've started
Yes.
early, and, once we get older, it's gonna be a very good skill to have.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
you've built a business that you can
Mhm.
walk away from, right?
Mhm.
Like you can be with your family, you can go on vacation, right? So what advice would you give to a doctor who thinks
Mhm.
that being able to walk away from your business for, a bit, like advice would you give to the person that thinks that that's impossible?
I would say first check your expectations. So, one of the reasons I was able to do that is because I had to come to terms in my mind with what is the most value I can give in the least amount of time and what is the least amount of value I'm comfortable giving within a certain amount of time.
Mhm,
And so once I was able to do that, it removed that guilt and that constantly thinking about what I should be doing instead of doing what I'm doing now. It removed that feeling so that I could enjoy that time away. Otherwise, it was, I didn't do very well with my business and I didn't do very well with my time off either. And
mhm.
so it's like, what's the point of taking time away from your business if you're not enjoying that time?
Yeah.
And so that's really it. All of it was mindset. It really wasn't much of anything else other than teaching myself to be in the moment and not to divide my brain into different places.
Yeah, that's good. So how would you recommend someone goes about that mindset shift? Like if they're struggling with that?
It's a muscle that you have to build, definitely. It gets easier over time. And the main thing, I write. I tend to write things down a lot. So
Like
if I find that I forget something, I go back and read something I wrote before. So I'll even put tabs and things like I'll write something and I'll put a tab of what I need, why I need to go back and read this if I'm having difficulty in a particular
Mhm,
area. So I might have a tab that says, time. So if I'm struggling in my brain, I'll go back and look for the things I had written about time, um, or family, or I may go, more detailed depending on what it is, but I tend to write things down. The other things I do is I write things down at the moment of what I'm struggling with because I do find as I write things down, I get the answer. when I'm thinking about it, I'll think in circles. But when I
Mhm.
write, I think in linearly, and I'll go through the problem and I'll get to the solution. And or usually what happens, I start writing and my brain starts to focus on other things and then the answer comes.
That's good. My dad says the same thing of how
Mhm.
everything is a muscle and it's up to you whether or not you're gonna build it.
Yes.
Okay, so I've heard a few people call it EBS this, right? The community, right, is like
Mhm.
friends that you didn't know you needed, but
Yes.
you need them. So what has it been growing as an entrepreneur with that kind of support?
I would say it's more than friends, it's family.
Yeah.
Every single time I go to a live event, the first thing that comes out of most of our mouths is it feels like a family reunion because we're all even though we see each other weekly in online, coming together, there's nothing like getting a hug from someone that you love. That it's funny because it's like it's the family that um you didn't you kind of it's really strange. It's like you didn't choose them because actually they were chosen by being accepted into EBS, but it is but the environment creates that camaraderie. And what I've always said is like usually when you think of family, you think of people who catch you when you're falling
Mhm.
and then lift you up,
Yeah.
when you need it. And that's exactly what the community does. My family, and I'm just gonna say this, my family actually calls EBS a cult. 'Cause they said, "Oh, you're having your cult meeting today." Well, they did until they came to a meeting. And then my husband came to one of the lives and he said, "I get it now." He said, "This is a calling." And he said, "And this is a environment that provides so much positivity and growth
Mhm.
that no wonder you want to be around it all the time." Because that's really what it is. I always walk away transformed. Even if it's just a little bit, whether it's a meeting from the week or if it's a meeting from a weekend, it's transforming. It's transformational every single time,
Yeah.
every time.
That's good. Okay, and so you briefly mentioned live events, which
Mhm.
June 7th, upcoming is Entre MD Live, which is, like one of the
Mhm.
biggest events. So are you gonna be there?
I am briefly, maybe. So this is what happened. I had already promised to sponsor an event
Ooh.
that same day, but it so happens it's in the same city. So I'm gonna try to kind of finagle some way of being at both places without having to split myself in half. But
Okay.
I am going to you know because I really I'm not going to have this is what's going to happen. I'm not going to be able to enjoy one without having experienced the other. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to have to do both.
You both.
And yes, I will be there. I may not be there the whole time, but I will be there.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to getting our picture then when I see you.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
what would you say to someone, right, who is thinking about eating, their big frog of getting their ticket for Entre MD Live? They're like, I don't know whether or not I should do this. It seems like something difficult. How would you encourage that person to get their ticket and to be there for the event?
To me, it's like saying, I'm trying to think of a good analogy because it is I mean, when you don't know what you don't know, it's hard to tell you what's going to happen. I mean, that's just one of those things.
Mhm.
But what I often say is that like you mentioned earlier, EBS is like the friends that you didn't know you needed. That is what really the live is. It's information you didn't even realize you needed until you got it, and when you got it, you can't even imagine what you were doing without it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what life is, really. And that's for those of us, even for me, it's like I think it's now 6 years going on. And every single time, like I mentioned before, every single time I go to each live and I think, okay, this is gonna be my last one. What
Mhm.
else am I gonna learn? And every single time I walk away transformed. I learn something new, I walk away transformed, and my business grows each time. And now what's happening is that I'm able to diversify because I've got one set, kind of running smoothly, and now I've got another,
Mhm.
and things growing organically on one place, another place. And so now it's freeing me up to do something else, but I'm taking the principles that I've learned with each and every business and each and every year within EBS and applying it. And every single iteration of who I am becomes better and better because it's easier each time.
That's good. That's so in essence,
Mhm.
comfort on JMD Live. We would
Oh
love
gosh, yes.
yeah.
Yes. And that you how do you describe it's like saying like telling someone who's been I guess the best way of describing it would be someone says, "I want to taste something that's really good."
Mhm.
And you say, "Try chocolate." And they're like, "But I've never had chocolate before." Imagine having never tasted chocolate and you know you like sweets and never having tasted chocolate before and then tasting it for the first time. That's what Entre Empty Live is. You have it's like you need something. There's this feeling that you want. There's
Mhm.
this information that you need and you just simply don't realize that that's it. And you can't describe it. How do you describe chocolate to someone who's never tasted it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just tell them it's good,
Yeah.
and then it's like and let them just have faith. It's good.
Yeah.
Just know that it is, and
Mhm.
every single how many people have to tell you chocolate tastes good before you're gonna try it yourself?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean I mean, what how else do you, like, put it?
Mhm.
That's just the best way for me to put it.
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
Okay.
That's a very good way to describe it. Okay, so last but most certainly not least, where can people find you? They want to know more about your story, want to work with you. What
Mhm.
are, where can they find you?
The best place is at my website, drtoomer.com, and that's drtoomer.com.
Okay.
And that usually there's enough information there. I'm on YouTube as Dr. Toomer. I'm on Facebook as Dr. Toomer. And so those are also places you can find me, especially my information on my YouTube channels where I have all my videos, over 200 at this point, about health, wellness, and weight care. And so, if anyone wants to subscribe there, they can get access there. I comment on every single comment. If anybody comments on any of my videos, I get a notification and I go and I respond because I feel like that's important for me to do. So I
That's
do that.
good.
And so that's the best way for people to
Okay.
contact me.
Alrighty, so thank you so much for this, Dr. Toomer.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed this. I'm pretty sure anybody
Right.
who watched this absolutely enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. It has been
Okay.
absolutely amazing interviewing you. So for you to get your merch, it's entremd.com/merch, or you can scan the QR code that it will be popped up on your screen. And